Let's take it to the next step. Now we are ready to create our knowledge nugget outline. So the 4 steps that will help us get there are the following. Step 1 is we're going to get our thoughts on paper. Step 2 is we are then going to group and label our thoughts, keeping the pillars in mind all the time. We'll sequence our thoughts and then we'll make the outline. So in getting our thoughts on paper, we use 2 different methods, intuitive and analytical methods. Now, an intuitive method is obviously where you rely on your intuition, also based on the research that you've done up front. And you can use mind mapping, brainstorming, free writing, sticky notes, index cards, or a combination thereof. And from an analytical method, we use focusing, focus groups as an example, or we ask ourselves the 5 wives and 1 husband questions, or the 5 whiskeys and 1 hotel question, which translated is the 5 W's and the how. So ask yourself those questions when you get to analyzing what the content structure should be for your course. Now, let's quickly remind ourselves of our podcasting example. Then we'll use those 4 steps against that. My pillar 1 is, my audience is, they want to learn how to monetize their podcast. Their objective is to obtain one direct podcast monetizer, to learn one direct podcast monetization strategy. Mine is to get them to add value to them so that they invest more in my full learning offering. I want them to go away, pillar 3, and implement this monetization strategy that they are going to acquire. And the long term is so that they can benefit. Let's use this case study to then take the intuitive method in getting to writing up our structure or content structure. So I like using post-its. So the first thing I would do is I get a pile of post-its and I start writing down thoughts. Remember, I've done all of the research leading up to this point. I'm clear on what my 4 pillars are. Now I'm writing down thoughts without judgment, without analyzing them, just putting it down on little post-its, and I'm keeping it simple here. So let's say I came up with 4 thoughts for the purpose of this activity. My next step now is to take those 4 steps and group and label them. So I quickly looked at where something similar, so I see select a strategy really goes with this one last comment I have with direct podcast monetization strategies. I'm happy with the rest. Now I have to put it in a sequence because this is the order in which I'm going to present my content. So I quickly reordered, and you would see there was a slight shift. Actually, 1 and 2 just swapped. It was just coincidental, but it's very important that you put your sequence your thoughts in either logical order or what will make sense for the purpose of your knowledge nugget. So it could be a process order, it could be a contrast and a comparison order, etc. Now, once I've completed this activity, I'm ready to bounce into something that might look familiar to some of you, but I'm not going there immediately. I'm now ready to create my first draft outline for my course, for my knowledge nugget. So I'm going to quick consideration to, again, remind myself of what the objectives are for that, my audience objective and my objective for doing this. I'm going to remind myself of what the different lecture formats are that I can use. There's a list there, also in terms of different resource materials that I can use. Then I get down to doing my outline structure. Very simple stuff here for knowledge nugget, but obviously for your more core offerings, we'll go into a lot more detail here. But the same remains applicable. I have an opening, a body, and conclusion. I'm simplifying this. Opening, body, conclusion. In my opening, I have my welcome in my introduction, and where I'll state what the objective of the course is. Then in the body, you remember my 3 main points that I had? You're now seeing them there in the body. And finally, I have the summary of this knowledge nugget. Simple, isn't it? And we communicate it. The only thing I'm going to add now is the detail for each of those bullet points. But now I have created my knowledge nugget structure. And the next step is very easy in terms of adding content. One last point to remember here is that we focus The time allocation here or the content allocation is 5 to 10% for the opening and for the conclusion, and then the bulk goes into the body of the structure. Do you see how those 4 pillars leading up to the 4 pillars and then taking the 4 pillars further to brainstorming your structure helps you with defining your content structure? Are you ready to do this with us? Are you ready to take that first step to monetize with us? We hold your hand all the way through here to get you through to this point and beyond.